Imagine your mind as a wild monkey, restless, leaping endlessly from branch to branch, never pausing, never still. This is not just a metaphor but the raw truth of our inner experience. Every moment, thoughts clash and collide, dragging us into chaos and confusion, stealing away our peace and focus. That constant mental noise, what ancient sages call the monkey mind, is the relentless enemy of clarity and calm. It fuels anxiety, breeds restlessness, and traps us in an endless loop of distraction. Yet, amid this turbulence, there lies a timeless practice that promises liberation: meditation. Meditation is not about forcing the mind into silence or battling against the flood of thoughts. It is an art of gentle observation, learning to witness the mind's restless leaps without judgment or resistance. At first, the mind protests, bouncing wildly, but with patient persistence, it grows weary. The monkey tires, the storm subsides, and stillness begins to emerge. This stillness is not empty or void but a vibrant space of presence where peace is born. What captivates me deeply about this journey is its paradox. Peace does not come from suppression but from acceptance. We stop wrestling with our thoughts, stop trying to cage the wild monkey, and instead become an unshakable witness. This shift transforms the way we relate to our inner chaos. The restless mind, once a tyrant, becomes a playful companion we understand and embrace. Zen stories, these pearls of wisdom, illuminate this profound truth in the simplest yet most powerful way. They invite us to step beyond our habitual patterns, to see our thoughts as passing shadows rather than permanent fixtures. Through meditation, the restless mind is not crushed but tamed through awareness, revealing a path to lasting serenity and insight. This isn't just spiritual poetry. It's a pragmatic key to living fully in a world that relentlessly pulls us in 1,000 directions. I've witnessed firsthand how this practice unlocks hidden reserves of calm, sharpens focus, and frees us from the constant mental chatter that drains our energy and joy. Meditation offers a refuge, a sanctuary of stillness where the heart can breathe, and clarity can dawn. As you listen to these stories, remember, the restless monkey mind is universal, yet it need not be permanent. Within each of us lies the power to transform chaos into calm, distraction into deep presence. Meditation is the invitation, the path, and ultimately, the reward. A life lived with grace amid the noise. A mind anchored in the profound peace that comes from simply being aware. This is not an escape, but a courageous embrace of our true nature, waiting patiently beneath the restless branches of our thoughts. Picture a cup filled to the brim with tea, so full that any more poured only spills over, wasted and lost. This simple image holds a profound truth about the human mind. Like that cup, our minds have limits. When overloaded with endless streams of information, worries, and distractions, there is no room left for fresh insights or genuine understanding to take root. This overflow isn't just inconvenient, it's a blockade against growth and clarity. The more clutter we pile into our mental cup, the harder it becomes to see clearly or act wisely. I find this metaphor deeply striking because it forces us to confront a harsh reality. More is not always better. In our modern world, saturated with constant noise and ceaseless demands, we are addicted to filling up emails, news, opinions, to-do lists, until our minds are so overwhelmed that we lose touch with what truly matters. We become vessels not of wisdom, but of chaos. This mental saturation blurs our vision, muffles our intuition, and shackles our potential. The wisdom embedded in this Zen story is a powerful call to practice mindfulness about what we allow into our minds. Just as a cup must be emptied before fresh tea can be poured, we must consciously release limiting beliefs, unnecessary worries, and toxic thoughts that no longer serve us. This clearing is not a one-time act but a continual practice, demanding discipline and honesty. It means saying no to mental clutter, setting boundaries with ourselves and the world, and carving out sacred space for calm and reflection. From personal experience, I can attest that this is the battlefield where many of us struggle. The temptation to cram more into our mental space is relentless, yet it exacts a steep price. I have witnessed moments when, despite all efforts, my mind felt suffocated, swamped by relentless chatter and fear. But the shift comes when we consciously choose to let go, to empty the cup, to make space. Suddenly, clarity bursts forth like the first rays of dawn piercing through fog. The clear, calm mind is no ordinary state. It is a treasure more valuable than gold. It is the soil from which creativity, compassion, and true understanding grow. When the mind is uncluttered, even the simplest moments become profound. Problems that once seemed insurmountable dissolve, replaced by insight and calm resolve. This state is not some distant ideal but an attainable reality, if we commit to guarding it fiercely against the flood of distractions. I urge anyone listening to reflect on their own mental cup. What are you pouring in without measure? Are these thoughts and worries nourishing your spirit or drowning it? The path to mental clarity demands courage. The courage to face the noise within and choose what truly deserves your attention. It is a radical act of self-care and respect, one that transforms not only your inner world but ripples outward to every interaction and decision. In embracing this teaching, we reclaim our power over our own minds. We learn that wisdom is not found in hoarding information or endless busyness, but in the spaciousness created by letting go. This spaciousness is where growth happens, where the quiet voice of inside whispers, where peace takes root. The overflowing cup is a warning, a mirror reflecting the chaos we carry. The invitation is clear. Empty your cup, clear your mind, and make room for life's true treasures to flow in. Life's suffering often strikes like two arrows piercing the heart. The first arrow, pain, is inevitable, thrown by the unpredictable world around us. Loss, failure, illness, betrayal. It arrives without warning, sharp and undeniable. No one escapes its sting. We can't control these external wounds, and trying to resist or deny them only deepens the hurt. The first arrow is a raw fact of existence, a universal shadow cast over every human life. But then there is the second arrow, far more insidious and dangerous because it is self-inflicted. This arrow is the pain we feed ourselves through our reaction, the endless rumination, the bitterness, the resentment that festers and gnaws at our spirit. It is the mental torture of replaying the wound, blaming ourselves or others, drowning in hopelessness. Unlike the first arrow, the second is not thrown by fate but by our own mind. And this makes it a weapon we can choose to wield or to put down. Understanding this distinction is nothing short of revolutionary. It reveals that while we cannot prevent life's hardships, we hold absolute power over how we suffer, or refuse to suffer further. This truth is a beacon of hope in the darkest moments. It means suffering does not have to be a chain dragging us down endlessly. It can be a sharp lesson that, once acknowledged, loses its poison. Personally, I have seen this play out repeatedly in my own life. Pain, loss, disappointment. They have knocked me down hard, uninvited and merciless, yet the real battle was never against the first arrow but against the second. The flood of negative thoughts and emotions that threatened to consume me long after the event passed. The moment I recognized I was firing that second arrow myself, a shift occurred. It was terrifying but liberating to realize I could choose to stop, to release the grip of anger and grief that tightened like a noose. This doesn't mean pretending pain doesn't exist or suppressing emotions, but rather cultivating a fierce awareness and compassion toward ourselves. It means allowing the pain to be without feeding it poison. The Zen wisdom here is ruthless in its clarity. Suffering is compounded not by what happens but by how long we cling to it. The longer we dwell, the deeper the wound becomes, not just in our hearts but in every part of our being. Breaking free from the cycle of the second arrow is a path to emotional freedom and healing. It requires courage to face the rawness without flinching, to hold the pain with open hands rather than clenched fists. It is a practice of radical acceptance and surrender, not resignation. This acceptance opens space for peace to emerge where torment once ruled, allowing us to reclaim our lives from the clutches of suffering. When I reflect on this teaching, I feel a profound respect for the resilience of the human spirit. We are not helpless victims of pain but warriors who can choose how we respond. The second arrow offers a choice, to be a prison or a gateway. Choosing release is an act of rebellion against despair, a declaration that our suffering will not define us. This insight calls on each of us to examine where we are firing our own arrows and to decide, moment by moment, whether we will hold on to pain or let it go. It is a challenge, a daily battle, but it is also the key to transforming suffering into strength, despair into wisdom, and brokenness into healing. The bamboo's dance with the wind is not a mere whimsy of nature but a profound lesson etched into its very fibers. It does not resist the storm with stubborn defiance. Instead, it bends, yielding to the fierce gusts with a grace that belies its strength. This bending is not weakness, it is wisdom. To survive the harshest tempests, the bamboo must be supple, flexible, allowing the wind to pass through without breaking. Yet beneath that graceful sway lies a deep, unshakable root, anchoring it firmly to the earth. This paradox of strength and flexibility is the blueprint for resilience in life. Too often, we mistake strength for rigidity, believing that standing firm means never yielding. But rigid trees snap in storms, while the bamboo's secret lies in its ability to adapt without losing its essence. I have come to realize that true strength is a balance, a harmony between softness and resolve, openness and steadfastness. Life will throw winds of hardship, disappointment, and change that test us beyond measure. How we respond to these forces defines our fate. Do we brace against the wind like a brittle branch, or do we flow with it like the bamboo, bending but never breaking? This lesson resonates deeply in my own journey. There were moments when I clung to certainty so tightly that when everything shifted, I fractured under the pressure. Those were moments of painful rigidity, when fear of change or loss hardened me into a brittle form. But when I learned to be like bamboo, allowing flexibility, surrendering to what I could not control, while holding fast to my core values and purpose, I discovered a new kind of resilience. This resilience does not reject vulnerability, it embraces it, seeing softness as a strength, not a flaw. The bamboo's roots remind us that flexibility does not mean drifting aimlessly. It means being deeply grounded in who we are, our principles, our vision, our truths, so that when life's storms rage, we bend without losing ourselves. The wind may twist and turn us, but our roots hold us steady. This balance allows growth even in adversity, making us stronger, wiser, and more alive, in a world that often demands toughness at all costs. This metaphor is a radical invitation. It challenges the cultural ideal of unyielding strength and invites us to cultivate a supple heart and a steady mind. It asks us to dance with life's uncertainties, not as victims but as skilled navigators, knowing when to yield and when to stand firm. This dance is not passive surrender but active engagement, an art of resilience that empowers rather than defeats. Reflecting on this, I feel that embracing the bamboo's wisdom is not just a survival strategy but a path to flourishing. It teaches us to welcome change as part of growth, to release the illusion of control, and to anchor ourselves in the deeper currents of purpose and meaning. This balance of flexibility and strength transforms hardship into opportunity, fear into courage, and resistance into flow. Ultimately, to be like bamboo is to embody a resilience that is both tender and unbreakable, a resilience that honors the complexity of life and the depth of the human spirit. It is a resilience that does not deny struggle but moves through it with grace, bending toward the light without ever losing the roots that sustain us. Our minds are like mirrors, constantly reflecting whatever we place before them. The world around us, with all its noise, its chaos, its challenges, can easily shape our thoughts if we allow it. But here's the truth. While we cannot always control the external forces that come into our lives, we hold the ultimate power over what we choose to focus on. It's like standing before a mirror and deciding whether you want to see light or shadow, beauty or blemish. The choice is ours, always. I've found that too often, we let our minds become tangled in negativity. We dwell on mistakes, replay conversations where we were hurt, and obsess over the things that went wrong. It's as if we've trained our mental mirrors to reflect only the darkest corners of our experience. And as the mirror reflects, so does the mind. What we focus on grows. Whether we want it to or not, it becomes a cycle. One thought leads to another, and soon, our minds are consumed with negativity. We begin to feel trapped, like we can't escape the reflection we've created. But there is another path, and it begins with awareness. When we consciously shift our focus, when we decide to look at what's good, what's beautiful, what's worthy of gratitude, we begin to change the reflection in the mirror of our mind. It's a small act, but incredibly powerful. It's the act of deciding to focus on what nurtures us, rather than what diminishes us. In my own life, I've noticed that the more I practice focusing on positivity, on things that inspire me, on people who uplift me, on the beauty in small moments, the more my mental landscape shifts. The mirror of my mind reflects peace, joy, and possibility, not because life is perfect, but because I've chosen to focus on what serves me. This is not a denial of the difficulties life presents, nor is it about ignoring pain or hardship. It's about taking responsibility for how we respond to it. We cannot control the storms that come our way, but we can choose how we weather them. The reflection in the mirror will change when we consciously choose to shift our focus, to look for the lessons in every challenge, the strength in every struggle. It's about deciding that, despite everything, we will reflect what is good, what is hopeful, what is worth celebrating. Mindfulness plays a huge role in this process. It's about becoming aware of where our attention is being drawn. The mind is constantly reacting to stimuli, and often, we don't even realize what we're allowing to take up space in our thoughts. But once we bring our attention to this, once we choose to direct our focus to what uplifts and empowers us, the shift happens. The mirror reflects back to us not just the external world, but the internal landscape we create through our focus. I've learned that this is one of the most empowering realizations in life. We are not helpless in the face of our thoughts. We are not bound by whatever the world throws at us. By choosing where we direct our mental focus, we create a life that reflects our deepest values, our highest aspirations. We shape our inner world, and in doing so, we transform how we experience the outer world. The reflection in the mirror is not the world itself, but the way we choose to see it. And that, my friends, is where our power lies. Growth, in its truest form, is never linear. It's not a smooth, straight road leading from one success to another. It's a winding journey full of setbacks, obstacles, and unexpected detours. Much like a tree enduring the harsh winds and storms, we too will face challenges that shake us to our core. But here's the secret. These trials aren't the end. They are the foundation of our growth. The wind may bend the tree, but it also strengthens its roots, forces it to reach deeper into the earth, to find stability in the chaos. I have experienced this deeply in my own life. There were times when I felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. It was frustrating. Every mistake, every failure seemed to push me further away from my goals, and the weight of those missteps was suffocating. But looking back, I realized that each of those mistakes was a stepping stone. The falls weren't failures. They were lessons in resilience, in patience, in humility. They showed me what I needed to learn in order to grow stronger, smarter, more capable. True failure, I believe, comes only when we give up, when we allow ourselves to be defined by our setbacks rather than our ability to rise from them. The path to mastery is not about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them, embracing them as part of the journey. Every misstep is an opportunity to deepen our understanding, refine our approach, and grow in ways we never could without the challenge. One of the hardest things to accept is that growth doesn't happen overnight. We want to be perfect, to have everything figured out, to reach the end goal quickly. But growth is slow, it's messy, it's a process of trial and error, of hitting walls, and then finding a way around them. The more I've embraced this reality, the more I've understood that my strength isn't built by avoiding failure, but by walking through it. Every storm I weather, every failure I face, only makes me more resilient. Each time I get back up, I stretch a little higher, my roots sink a little deeper. Perseverance is the key to unlocking true growth. It's the ability to keep going even when the path is unclear, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, when the world feels like it's testing your every limit. But I've learned that persistence is not just about enduring pain. It's about actively choosing to move forward with purpose. Even in the face of adversity, it's the understanding that the struggles, no matter how painful, are an essential part of the process, not roadblocks to success. What fascinates me most about this journey is that our strength doesn't come from avoiding the storm, but from learning how to stand firm in it. Our resilience isn't forged in times of ease, but in times of hardship. Each failure, each mistake, doesn't diminish us. It adds to our strength. We don't grow despite the trials. We grow because of them. Our potential is unlocked when we persist through the tough times, when we refuse to let the setbacks define us, but instead, let them refine us. In the end, growth isn't just about achieving success. It's about the person we become in the process, the lessons we learn, the strength we build, and the resilience we cultivate. Like a tree standing tall after the storm, we find our greatest strength not in avoiding the struggles, but in how we rise from them, reaching higher than before. Living fully in the present moment is an art, a skill that many of us overlook in our fast-paced lives. Zen teaches us a profound truth. The meaning of life is not something we need to chase, nor is it something we'll find in some distant future or past. It's here, now, in the simple act of being present, aware, and alive in each moment. This concept may sound simple, but living in the present requires deep commitment, because we are constantly bombarded with distractions, thoughts that pull us into the past, worries that propel us into the future, and all the noise that keeps us from fully experiencing what is in front of us. I've come to realize that true peace doesn't exist in some far-off place or time. It's right here, in this moment, when we allow ourselves to pause, breathe, and truly observe what's happening around us and within us. So often, I've found myself caught up in my own thoughts, distracted by the endless cycle of planning, worrying, and striving. I used to believe that peace was something I would find once I achieved certain goals or arrived at a particular place in my life. But I've learned that the real peace I've been searching for has always been available in the present moment, if only I took the time to notice it. When we are present, we stop resisting life as it unfolds. Instead of being caught up in the rush to get somewhere, we begin to see that the journey itself, the small, seemingly insignificant moments, is where the true beauty lies. Think about it. When you're truly present, the simplest experiences become powerful. A walk in nature becomes an immersive experience where every leaf, every gust of wind, every sound becomes part of your awareness. A conversation with someone becomes a deep connection, not a mere exchange of words, but an opportunity to truly understand and be understood. I've also found that living in the present moment means embracing whatever thoughts or emotions arise without judgment. It's easy to become consumed by our inner narrative, especially when our minds are cluttered with negative self-talk, fear, or regret. But when we stop judging our thoughts and simply observe them, we release their power over us. I've experienced firsthand how liberating this can be. When we acknowledge our thoughts without attaching guilt or fear to them, they lose their grip on our minds, and we become free to just be. This is where the magic of the present moment lies, in the acceptance of what is. Without needing to change or fix anything, we are no longer waiting for some perfect future where everything aligns. But instead, we cultivate peace right where we are. When we begin to live fully in the present, we stop measuring life by outcomes or achievements, and instead, we learn to savor the richness of experience itself. I know from my own journey that being present doesn't mean that we stop planning or striving for better things. It doesn't mean that we ignore the future or the lessons of the past. It simply means we acknowledge that the only moment we truly have is now. In doing so, we begin to see how much beauty and peace can exist in the simple act of breathing, of observing, of truly living each moment with full awareness. The present moment is where life happens, and when we embrace it, we unlock the profound joy and insight that was always waiting for us. Compassion, mindfulness, and self-belief are not just ideals to strive for. They're transformative practices that can reshape our lives in profound ways. Zen wisdom encourages us to cultivate compassion, not just for others but for ourselves, recognizing that the way we treat ourselves sets the foundation for how we interact with the world. We are often our own harshest critics, quick to judge and slow to forgive our own mistakes. Yet, when we begin to offer ourselves the same compassion we so readily give to others, we unlock a deep well of healing and growth. It's in this self-compassion that we find the strength to move forward, to face our challenges not with fear or resistance, but with openness and kindness. I've learned through my own journey that being compassionate with ourselves doesn't mean excusing our mistakes, but rather acknowledging them with the understanding that we are all human. We will falter, we will struggle, but each mistake is an opportunity for growth, not an indictment of our worth. This realization has been a game changer for me, because it's not just about forgiving ourselves when things go wrong. It's about embracing our imperfections and finding strength in them. In those moments of vulnerability, we can find our true power. Alongside compassion, mindfulness is a tool that has deeply influenced my life. Mindfulness teaches us to be present, to truly experience each moment without getting lost in the whirlwind of thoughts, distractions, and judgments. It's about being fully engaged with life, no matter how mundane or challenging the moment may seem. When we practice mindfulness, we stop living on autopilot and begin to notice the richness of each experience, the texture of the air, the beauty in ordinary moments, the depth of each conversation. I've realized that mindfulness is not just a practice to be done in meditation. It's a way of living. It's about being present in our work, our relationships, our emotions, and our actions. It's this mindfulness that also feeds into the practice of self-belief. So often, we doubt ourselves, questioning our worth or our ability to succeed. But Zen reminds us that our true potential lies within. It's not something that is earned or proved. It's something we are born with. The act of trusting in ourselves is revolutionary. It's about believing in our inherent worth, regardless of external circumstances. I've seen this shift in my own life, where I've had to face moments of doubt and fear, unsure if I had the strength to continue. Yet, in those moments, when I chose to believe in my own capacity to rise, to learn, and to grow, I found that I was capable of far more than I ever thought possible. The combination of compassion, mindfulness, and self-belief creates a foundation upon which we can build a meaningful life. Through meditation, self-reflection, and kindness, we begin to align with the essence of Zen, a life lived with clarity, courage, and compassion. These principles don't just enhance our own lives, they enrich the lives of those around us. By embodying them, we move through the world with purpose, with authenticity, and with a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings. This isn't just philosophical thinking, it's practical, actionable wisdom that has the power to transform the way we live. When we embrace compassion, mindfulness, and self-belief, we create space for joy, connection, and resilience in our lives. We become stronger not by fighting against our fears and doubts, but by moving through them with the gentle courage that comes from knowing our true potential. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to take a moment and reflect. The wisdom shared today isn't just words. It's a powerful invitation to transform your life. Zen teaches us that peace, compassion, and mindfulness are not distant ideals but practices we can embrace right now. In this very moment, each teaching we explored, whether it's cultivating compassion for ourselves, staying present in the now, or believing in our own potential, holds the key to unlocking a deeper, more meaningful life. But here's the truth. Knowing these teachings is one thing, but living them is where the real magic happens. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of daily life and forget to breathe. Forget to center ourselves. Forget to pause and be present. I know, because I've been there, but the moment you make the choice to live mindfully, to embody the wisdom of Zen, your whole world begins to shift. The challenges, the struggles, the doubts, they don't disappear, but you find the strength to move through them with grace, clarity, and resilience. I challenge you today to take that first step. If any part of this video resonated with you, if you felt a spark of truth or inspiration, then share it. Share this wisdom with others who need it. There's no better time than now to spread the light of Zen, to create a ripple of mindfulness and compassion that reaches beyond just ourselves. Share this video with your friends, your family, and anyone who might need to hear this message. Like, comment, and subscribe to become part of this community, one that's committed to living with intention, to growing with purpose, and to walking the path of peace and awakening. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps to build a space where we can continue learning from each other, supporting each other, and evolving together. Let's create a movement of mindful living, where we uplift one another and transform our lives, one breath at a time. Together, we walk this journey of growth, facing every challenge with the unwavering belief that we can rise, grow, and awaken to the truth of who we are. The path isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. So let's keep walking, one moment at a time, and let the wisdom of Zen guide us every step of the way. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this message of peace, and let's keep the conversation going.